Why you're still broke wholesaling real estate. Guys, it's Rick in here with Flip with Rick, and let's talk about it. Are you having financial problems getting started in wholesaling? If you are, you're just like many people in that situation. And to be honest with you, I started out the exact same way. But before we get started, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best wholesaling information available today. So, if you're broke wholesaling, you are not alone. I promise you. At one point, everybody's gone through this, but let's break it down and find out the obstacles that are going to be stopping you. So I've talked to probably hundreds of thousands of wholesalers, ones that are seasoned veterans like myself to ones just starting out on a video just like this, and the ones that are having financial difficulties in their wholesaling business all have the same thread to them. And when something's not working, sometimes you just have to, you got to take a step back and find out, okay, what am I doing wrong? And a lot of times it's great for a third party to point out the obvious that you can't see. So I want you to treat this video somewhat as an intervention, and it will help you out. And I promise you that these tips are the exact tips I've used whenever I've gotten into any type of financial hole in wholesaling real estate. Your commitment is not there. No, Rick, I definitely want to do wholesaling. Well, tell me your why. So you guys know here at Flip with Rick, we train you to define your why of why you're getting into wholesaling real estate. Why do we do that? Because when you have a clear, pronounced commitment on why you're doing this, and you either post it up on your bathroom mirror, you post it in your office every day, I don't care if you got to put it on your front door, you scream it out to your family, everybody knows the vision and it's very clear. I, for example, got into real estate so I could get as much freedom of my time as possible and financially take care of my family. That's it. I don't have this complicated business plan. Everybody wants to spend more time with their friends and family, and people want financial freedom. End of story. I knew I wanted that. I wrote it on my board, and to this day, it's still there. So your commitment is always going to be tested in wholesaling. And if you don't have a clear defined why and why you're doing it, I can almost guarantee you failure. So if you guys are struggling financially, or you're waiting to get your first deal and you're struggling getting through cold calls or the text, or you're super nervous in doing the appointments, go back and read your why. And I promise you, it will bring you back to ground zero saying, this is why I'm doing it, because I know it's going to be uncomfortable. I know it's going to be painful in the beginning, but the rewards to myself, my family, and everybody that's around me is greater than the fear itself. So guys, look at your why. It clearly defines your commitment level, because when the struggle comes up, you've got to be able to get through it and bust through that wall. So your why will get you through that. The next one, this is a big one, is you're listening to the wrong people. Let me repeat this again. You are taking advice from people that have no idea what wholesaling is. How do I know this? I've dealt with this 19 years of my life. The worst offenders is going to be your family, particularly your parents. Now, I'm not writing off your parents. You should take plenty of advice from them. They love you. They brought you into this world, and their job is to protect you. But when you get to a certain age, sometimes you have to look at the financial blueprint your parents gave you. And I'm just here to hit you with reality. Most of our parents did not have a clue on how to be financially free. Now, if your parents are financially free and they're giving you good advice, stick to it. But if your parents are broke and they've struggled in a job their entire life, I commend them for taking care of you because they made you a priority. Now, it's your job to go out and find a blueprint. You can use Flip with Rick. You can go to freewholesaling.com and take advice from people that fight this fight every day and are financially free themselves. If you take advice from someone who's not financially free, you are going to get bad information. I guarantee it. It would be like hiring someone to train you to get super in shape and they're 300 pounds overweight. So at some point, you got to see what they did as opposed to what they say, and you have to follow that. And our gut intuition is always to listen to our parents. It doesn't mean you disrespect your parents. It doesn't mean you love them any less. But if they are not financially free and they're struggling, you cannot take their financial advice because it's not correct. And quite honestly, it's probably not their fault, but nobody has an excuse this day and age not to have the information to be financially free. Please, guys, do not take advice from people's shoes you do not want to be in financially. Now, that's going to go for your friends. We've already talked about family. And here's the reality. You are going to lose friends in wholesaling. End of story. And if you don't, you're not doing it right. Sometimes friends and family want to keep you safe and they say, that sounds risky, that's scary, don't do it. And they're doing that to try to protect you from a loving position. But to be honest with you, it's going to kill you if you take that advice. So guys, stop taking advice from people that are not financially free. It's going to wreck you and it's going to take you off course. And the minute you ask that family or friend for advice, which is your natural intuition, it's going to run you under the bus. So stop asking advice from people that have no ability to give you the correct information. They're either going to try to protect you or out of scarcity, keep you in their herd and keep you financially stripped. And I don't want that for you. And that's not why you are tuning into me right now. So be careful on who you take advice from and filter it. Okay, the next one's, it's kind of a general one, but it's a big one. Once you get into wholesaling, you have to be accountable. Sounds easy, right, Rick? I'm going to be honest with you. You cannot blame other people in wholesaling. If you are not successful or you're financially struggling in wholesaling, is because you're not being honest with yourself. You have to be accountable. Accountability allows you to pivot and change. This is not like economics in college or high school or whenever you took it, is you're not going to get a grade on this. You are going to fail some of the tests. And when you fail, you have to pivot and adjust. Let me give an example. You send out marketing. Say you got a list. You cold called on it. You took a week. You ripped through it. You had some hired help. You did it too. And you guys didn't get one lead. Now, either your cold callers are really bad or your list is horrible or probably a combination of the both. You have to go through your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and figure out what's broken in the system. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you will be financially broke and you will be out of wholesaling. So you have to be accountable. All good wholesalers, they never blame anyone else. There's no room for this. You do not get points for blaming anybody else. You have to identify what the problem is and move forward. So when our KPIs are wonderful, it's great. We're still paying attention, trying to tweak them and always make them better. You have to be massively you have to be massively accountable in wholesaling. Otherwise, it will never, ever work. So if you're blaming someone else or saying you're getting the wrong list, it's on you. You're pulling the wrong information. Fix it. Do whatever you got to do. Go to freewholesaling.com. I answer most of these questions in there. I can't do it all in this video, but it's got to be on you. So you can't blame the list provider. You can't blame your partner. You can't blame your wife. Sometimes it just comes down to you, and sometimes we just make bad decisions or we went on gut instinct and we have to fix it. So being accountable will keep you on course. And when you have a financial shortage, I always go to my KPIs to figure out what the problem is. And by the way, you will have months where stuff just doesn't work. The question is, do you get back up? Do you look at the accountability portion through your KPIs and do you move forward? I find so many wholesalers get stuck in this part. It's not a question of if it happened, it's just a question of when. The next one kind of goes alongside with accountability is discipline. You have to be disciplined and regiment in wholesaling. What do I mean by that? You have to constantly be marketing. You can't stop. Even when you go out and if you're a one-man or one-woman army, you still have to keep the marketing going. You still have to submit contracts. You still have to submit earnest money deposits. You still have to go out and look at the properties. You can't do one thing by skipping the other one. And if you do, you're going to have a huge financial gap in your revenue stream. So Discipline's what will set you free of this. Now, I know a lot of think like, oh, discipline, man. It's like in school when I get like scolded. No, discipline gets a bad rap. Discipline's what will actually set you free in wholesaling. What do I mean by that? If you do the disciplined items and you set your schedule out and you do it, so if you take 2 hours to make your cold calls or whatever you do, and you're not on social media or doing anything, you will get more done in that 2 hours than most people get done in an entire day. But you have to be disciplined. And if you're urged to get up after the first 20 minutes, you just got to get past it and you will learn to get through it. And once you do this, you have a set regimen, then your income becomes much more predictable. The business is exciting and it's fun, and you don't have these huge pay gaps. And I always looked at discipline wrong when I was a kid. I didn't understand it. And now as I'm an adult, specifically with wholesaling, discipline will set you free. Set your time for marketing, set your time for follow-ups, set your time for your marketing plan, and constantly revise it and stay on it. Once you miss one, you got to, like, say you were sick or something like that, you just got to make it up. A lot of times when you're sick, you just power through it and make those calls. Guys, discipline, although I know it sounds scary, it will ultimately set you free in wholesaling because it will allow you to achieve the success you deserve. Okay, the last thing that I find that pops up all the time, and I constantly struggle with this too, is focus. Now, when we're laser focused, particularly you, when you're laser focused, you do amazing things. Let's admit it. You're really good when you're focused. The problem is, how do we keep your focus? You got to stop looking at the next greatest thing. It's out of control in wholesaling. And to be honest with you, if you just stick to the fundamentals and maybe take 5% of your time, maybe on the weekends or nights, looking at some new things and possibly testing them out, that's fine. But so many of you dive in. Hey, I found this new app where I can drive around and it tracks my my route, and it'll automatically pick up the addresses. And it costs you $500 a month. I don't know if the trade-off's worth it sometimes. Like, to be honest with you, you just take a yellow pad and write it. It's not that complicated, guys. These houses will not wholesale themselves on their own. So any type of shiny object that just completely enamors you and goes, oh my God, this is going to fix everything in wholesaling, it's not. Fundamentals is where it's at. It's just like football. You have to learn how to tackle and block before the entire team can basically score a touchdown. And there's no difference with you. If you have the key fundamentals, like 80 to 90% of the game, the other stuff you can add and pepper it in. But so many times we're doing the right things. We're reaching out to motivated sellers. We're marketing like crazy. And then we go, oh my God, look at this thing. I just saw a video on this guy that's doing that. Guys, you have no idea if it's successful. Most likely you're being sold something. And let me ask you, if it's so great, why is it being shared with the entire market? I don't know about you, but that's ultimately what happens in saturation. And the shiny object syndrome will take you out of focus. And once you get out of focus, you're not productive, meaning you're not making money in wholesaling. Guys, avoid these pitfalls. And as I said earlier in the video, if you're struggling generating revenue and you're financially broke and you're thinking about giving up on this business, stop. And I want you to go back and look at the fundamentals. Make sure your why is there. Make sure you're listening to the right people. Make sure you're being accountable. Make sure you're disciplined. And last but not least, keep the focus there. I promise you, I've been doing this 19 years. I've had months where I'm like, what am I doing? And when I went back to the basics and I followed these key steps, I always got back on track. And my job here is to remind you, I know you can do this. I believe you can do this. Make sure your why is there. Make sure your commitment is, and follow the rest of the steps. And you guys are going to do amazing in wholesaling. So keep the focus. Guys, tell me, are you broke in wholesaling, and do you think any of the tips I shared with you can help get you back on track? Guys, do me a favor. Let me know below in the comments. Guys, this is Rick with Flip with Rick. If you love receiving materials like this and videos that are helpful, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.